Most people who drink coffee after 50 are drinking it at the wrong time, and they have no idea. Not wrong in a dramatic way. Not wrong in a way that's going to cause immediate harm, but wrong in a way that may be quietly working against your energy, your sleep, and how you feel throughout the day. Here's the thing. It's not just about how much coffee you drink. It's also about when you drink it. And for people over 50, that timing may matter more than most people realize. In this video, we're going to look at what some research suggests about the best and worst times to drink coffee, specifically for people in this age group. We'll also get to something near the end that most coffee drinkers over 50 have never considered, and it may change the way you think about your morning routine. This isn't about making your life more complicated. It's about making your coffee work better for you. To understand why timing matters, we first need to talk about something called cortisol. Cortisol is a hormone your body produces naturally, and one of its jobs is to help you feel alert and awake in the morning. Think of it as your body's own built-in energy system, one that kicks in automatically when you wake up. In most people, cortisol levels rise sharply in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking up. This is actually your body doing exactly what it's supposed to do, giving you a natural boost of alertness to start the day. Now here's where coffee comes in, and where most people may be making a timing mistake. When you drink coffee during that cortisol peak, which for most people happens between roughly 6 and 9 in the morning, you may actually be reducing the effectiveness of both your cortisol and your caffeine. Some research suggests that caffeine consumed during a cortisol peak may build tolerance faster, meaning your body may start needing more caffeine just to get the same effect. And for people over 50, whose cortisol regulation may already be shifting, this could be worth paying closer attention to. Based on what some researchers currently understand about cortisol rhythms, the window that often comes up as potentially optimal for that first cup of coffee is somewhere between 9:30 and 11 in the morning. By this point, your cortisol levels have naturally started to come down from their morning peak, which means caffeine may be able to step in and extend your alertness more effectively. Think of it less like replacing your body's natural energy and more like extending it. Now, this doesn't mean you need to watch the clock obsessively every morning. Individual variations in cortisol timing do exist. Some people's peaks come earlier, some later. But as a general starting point, waiting at least 60 to 90 minutes after waking before your first cup may be worth experimenting with, particularly if you've been drinking coffee immediately upon waking for years. Some people find it helpful to use that first hour after waking for other things, a glass of water, a light breakfast, a short walk, and then sit down with their coffee once the morning has properly begun. Many people who try this report that their coffee feels more effective, that they get a cleaner, more focused energy without the jitteriness or the crash that sometimes follows. Again, this is something worth experimenting with rather than a rule you need to follow. Your body and your schedule are your own. For people who drink more than 1 cup a day, which is most coffee drinkers, the question of timing doesn't stop at the first cup. There's a second window that some research points to as potentially useful, and a third window that may be worth avoiding altogether. The second naturally occurring cortisol dip for most people tends to happen somewhere around late morning to early afternoon, roughly between 11:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. This is another window where some people find a second cup of coffee may feel particularly effective, stepping in when natural alertness starts to dip before lunch. That said, individual responses vary here quite a bit. Some people find a second cup unnecessary, while others find it genuinely helpful for sustained focus through the morning. Now, the window that most sleep researchers tend to flag as worth being cautious about is anything after around 2 in the afternoon. Here's why. Caffeine has what's called a half-life, which means it takes a certain amount of time for your body to process half of the caffeine you've consumed. For most adults, that half-life is somewhere between 5 and 7 hours. But for people over 50, some research suggests that half-life may be longer, meaning caffeine may stay active in your system well into the evening. What this means practically is that a cup of coffee at 3 in the afternoon could still have a meaningful amount of caffeine active in your bloodstream at 10 or 11 at night, right when your body is trying to wind down for sleep. And for people over 50, whose sleep is already more sensitive to disruption, this may be particularly worth keeping in mind. Beyond the question of early morning versus mid-morning, there's another timing consideration that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, and it has to do with meals. Specifically, drinking coffee immediately before, during, or right after a meal. Some research suggests that consuming coffee close to meals, particularly within about an hour before eating, may interfere with the absorption of certain minerals, including iron and calcium. For people over 50, who are often already paying closer attention to bone health and nutritional absorption, this may be worth factoring in. The general suggestion from some nutritionists is to allow at least 30 to 60 minutes between your meal and your coffee, either before or after. Another timing consideration worth mentioning: hydration first. After 7 to 8 hours of sleep, your body wakes up in a mildly dehydrated state. Coffee, which has a mild diuretic effect, consumed first thing may add to that dehydration rather than helping it. Some people find that drinking a glass or two of water before their morning coffee makes a noticeable difference in how they feel. More stable energy, less of that hollow, jittery feeling that sometimes comes with early morning caffeine on a dehydrated system. Again, this is something worth trying rather than a rule to follow strictly. Now, earlier I mentioned something that most coffee drinkers over 50 have never considered. Let's get to that now. It's this: the timing of your last cup of coffee may be affecting your sleep in a way you've completely adapted to, without realizing it. Here's what that looks like in practice. You have a coffee at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You fall asleep fine that night, so you assume the coffee didn't affect your sleep. But what some sleep research suggests is that the caffeine may have reduced the quality of your deep sleep, without preventing you from falling asleep at all. You wake up the next morning feeling like you need coffee just to get going, and the cycle continues. One thing some people find genuinely useful is a simple 2-week experiment, moving their last cup of coffee to no later than 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and paying attention to whether anything changes in how they sleep and how they feel in the morning. Not a permanent change, just an experiment. 2 weeks of data from your own body is often more informative than any study. Many people who try this report that their coffee feels more effective, that they get a cleaner, more focused energy without the jitteriness or the crash that sometimes follows. Think of these less as rules and more as starting points for your own experimentation. What works well for one person may not be the right fit for another, and you know your body and your schedule better than anyone. If you have specific health concerns, particularly around sleep, digestion, blood pressure, or any medications you're taking, it's always a good idea to bring your coffee habits into a conversation with your doctor. They know your full health picture in a way that no video can. If you found this helpful, we'd love to have you subscribe. We put out new videos every week covering practical health topics specifically for people over 50. And if this raised questions you'd like to explore further, our next video looks at the worst time to drink coffee after 50, which pairs naturally with everything we covered today. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one.